So, hello everybody, good evening all. Let's start the new video lesson for you guys. So, we are starting this class for the CSAT comprehension purpose, and I'm here, Sanjeev Mathur, with you, and it's all on behalf of the Analytics IAS Academy. We are providing you the classes here. So, let's begin the new topic. In the last class, I think we have discussed the some passages up to 13th. I think I'm not sure. Maybe you guys can help me out to find that whether I'm correct or wrong. I think up to 13 we have discussed. Maybe we can take a quick review of this 13th one. If you are here, you guys show your presence by commenting the section, and then we'll start the passage again. So, welcome all. Get ready fast. Here the passage has been given, as I told you, that the comprehension passage will be given to you separately in this section, and then you will be asked around means one question from a passage. So each passage will carry a question for you, and it will be nearly 30 questions you will be asked in the whole set of comprehension passages here in the CSAT examination. So you guys have to score, you can score very well in this section, because if you are able to find the right answer quickly, in that case it will be easy for you guys, and every question will carry nearly 2.5 marks for you. So it is a very good way to cover a good score, and I think it is only just the qualifying, as you know it all. I'm just giving you the quite quick revision of this all, so that you maybe find it easier to solve this question, these questionnaire, the passages. Now I think that all of you are here, and we should start the passage. So start reading the passage quickly, and you guys have to answer the question you are asked here. So first of all you have to find the gist of the passage. Yeah, the gist is quite important. Unless you have the proper inference, means you have to find the gist, and you have to infer what the passage is telling you. In that case only you will be able to find the right answer. So try to answer the question. The passage seems to suggest that. This is only a question, means one question has been asked, and you have to answer this question with the given options you have. So quickly start commenting the section here and send your answer quickly, so that we can have a very good discussion. We can elaborately find the right answer. The passage seems to suggest that, yeah. I feel that it will be good for you to have the full view of this passage, so that you can read very well. What climate change will undeniably do is cause of amplify events. Wait a minute. This is the passage 1. And we have to discuss here the 13th number passage. So, in a free country, the man who reaches the position of leader is usually one of outstanding character and ability. Moreover, it is usually possible to foresee that he will reach such a position. Now, see, the comma has been given to you. So whenever you are asked the questions based on the passage, you have to first of all consider the means the length of the passage, whether it is a big passage or a small one. If you are given a small passage, I always suggest you to read the passage first and then start answering the questions. Okay? And here I've read this passage for you guys nearly, but this is not always true in the case of a dictator. Often he reaches his position of power through chance, very often through the unhappy state of his country. Now the question we are here means we have to deal with here is the passage seems to suggest that. So the question directly wants you to tell the theme of the passage. What is the theme? What is the gist according to you that you guys are required to tell us? So get ready to answer because it is quite important to answer the questions. Unless you start answering the questions, there will not be a fruitful discussion with you guys. So if you would like to have a nice discussion, you will have to start answering the questions quickly. So the question here, the passage here is saying us something about the position of a leader and the dictator. Now, what you suggest, what the passage seems to suggest us, what is your answer? क्या आपका आंसर लग रहा है? प्लीज बताइए जल्दी से. Tell me. You guys have to be really quick while answering the questions. Otherwise, it will not be possible to have a good practice, have a good command on the questions. Okay? Unless you start answering the questions, you will not be able to command on it. जल्दी जल्दी आंसर करने हैं आप लोगों को. ज़्यादा लेट करेंगे तो उतना ही टाइम आप अपना वेस्ट कर रहे हैं. You don't have to waste your time. If you are not getting the right answer, you have to start discussing it. Quickly tell me. जल्दी जल्दी बताने की कोशिश कीजिए. So in this case, if you have gone through the passage, I think that the right answer you should take on is despair in a country sometimes leads to dictatorship. D is the right option here. Now you guys have to check it whether D is a suitable answer or not. For that you can read it again. You can discuss it with me if you are not happy with this answer. If you are not supporting the answer, in that case you are free to have an argument with me right now. Okay, I feel that you guys are accepting the answer. So let's start to the next passage here. Now the passage here is another one. You have to read it quickly again and start answering this passage. Quickly, have a discussion. Now, sometimes we also feel that while reading the passages, we always sometimes we feel that it's hard to get the sense, the exact meaning of the passage sometime, or some words are typical also. In that case, you guys have to also make a good vocabulary that I suggest you. In that case, your word power, when you start making your word power, you will automatically be able to get through the sense, the gist of the passage easily. So try to answer this passage, passage number 14, and tell me the theme of the passage before answering these assumptions. Assumptions based passages also are asked now. So in that case, you will be given 2 or 3 assumptions, and you will be asked the required answer as your choice. What is inferred in the passage? In that case, you will be asked the question based on that inference question. जल्दी जल्दी बताने की कोशिश करें. बहुत टाइम ले रहे हैं आज आप लोग. इतना टाइम लेंगे तो कैसे आप पैसेज को सॉल्व करेंगे? कमेंट सेक्शन में जाके जल्दी से कमेंट डाल सकते हैं अपना, अगर आपको कोई भी सूटेबल आंसर लग रहा है तो. क्विकली टेल मी. The greatest blessing that technological progress has in store for mankind is not, of course, an accumulation of material possessions. The amount of these that can be effectively enjoyed by one individual in one lifetime is not great, but there is not the same narrow limit to the possibilities of the enjoyment of leisure. The gift of leisure may be abused by people who have had no experience of making use of it. Yet, the creative use of leisure by a minority in societies has been the mainspring of all human progress beyond the prudent level. With reference to the above passage, the following assumptions have been made. So, tell me quickly which assumption means what is the right assumption according to the passage you get. Quickly answer the passage. It's quite important to have these answers quickly. First of all, you have to read this passage. You have to find that what is the passage based on. Try to answer the question quickly. It will become solo if I will only speak. You guys are required to speak, otherwise it will not be possible for you to practice. The class is mainly aimed to practice these comprehension passages, and you guys have to practice these one with me. In the last two classes we had some technical issues, otherwise all the things were going better. So don't worry about that. You feel free to answer. The class will go on till 10:30. Which of these assumptions is valid? We have to answer this question. First one has been given: people always see the leisure time as a gift and use it for acquiring more material possessions. And the second assumption we are given here is use of leisure by some people to produce new and original things has been the chief source of human progress. So get ready to answer the questions. Quickly answer the question, any level, whichever you feel is good for you, where you feel free to answer. Try to answer the question quickly. See, in this practice session, it is very important to have the answers from your side. Unless you answer them quickly, unless you argue the questions, unless you tell what is there in your mind, I won't be able to discuss them freely with you. And if you will think that you will do all things at your own, it is not possible, because in that case it will be a burden for you. So try to be more and more confident while answering the questions, and try to be more argumentative so that we can discuss it thoroughly. You know, it is very necessary for all of us. I feel it's Saturday. I think all of you are also enjoying your leisure. It is something based on Saturday or Sunday. I think it's the leisure you are doing. But you should be progressive also. You should be doing something good in the leisure time. That will only be the requirement from your side. And this the passage is also suggesting us this the main thing. So you should also be like creative what the passage is demanding from us. So I think that the assumption two is more correct. What you say, I'm not getting your answers. Maybe it's the reason that the class has been shifted to Saturday, and today you are not feeling that much like you have to answer them, or you don't want your laser to be to get disturbed. But please spare some time to be more argumentative. Otherwise, it's not possible for me only to discuss the whole topic. So get ready fast. Start answering the questions, because it's not any topic we are going to discuss here. Unless you start discussion, it will be very hard for me to discuss all the things. If I discuss it, it will become solo. But moreover, I'll keep answering you the questions, and I will try to suggest you the suitable answer also. You guys have to read the passage once. So I think you all have read this passage. The greatest blessing that technological progress has in store for mankind is not, of course, an accumulation of material possessions. See the passage, the tone of the passage is also quite important. Whenever you have to answer the question, you have to also consider the tone of the writer. Means what the reason behind is, and why the writer is saying what the author is saying us, what he or she is suggesting us. These things are quite important. Now the question is, why should we consider this as the suitable answer? Why can't we say that the first one is also correct? Because the first assumption says people always see the leisure time as a gift and use it for acquiring more material possessions. But you see, if you will go for the first assumption, that has not been discussed here anywhere in the passage. You can read it. You can read the whole passage. You will automatically come to the point that there's not anywhere means the amount of these that can be effectively enjoyed by one individual in one lifetime is not great, but there is not the same narrow limit to the possibilities of the enjoyment of leisure. The gift of leisure may be abused by people who have had no experience of making use of it. Even in some places, the passage is going contradictory to the first assumption. So that is the reason we are not opting it also. So what you guys say, I feel that all of you are going to the right to the for the second answer only, second assumption only. So the right answer choice, what you should mark over here is the B option, two only. This should be the right answer choice. Now come to the next passage here. There is more than a modicum of truth in the assertion that a working knowledge of ancient history is necessary to the intelligent interpretation of current events. But the sage who uttered these words of wisdom might well have added something on the benefits of studying, particularly the famous battles of history, for the lessons they contain for those of us who lead or aspire to leadership. Such a study will reveal certain qualities and attributes which enable the winners to win, and certain deficiencies which cause the losers to lose. And the student will see that the same pattern recurs consistently again and again throughout the centuries. With reference to the above passage, the following assumptions have been made. Number one, a study of the famous battles in history would help us understand the modern warfare. And second, the studying the history is essential for anyone who aspires to be a leader. It's a nice passage. I suggest you guys, and you should answer this the question. It's really good for you. See, there is more than a modicum of truth in the assertion that a working knowledge of ancient history is necessary to the intelligent interpretation of current events. But the sage who uttered these words of wisdom might well have added something on the benefits of studying, particularly from the famous battles of history, for lessons they contain for those of us who lead or aspire to leadership. See the important point over here. The sage has used these words for someone who lead or aspire to leadership. Such a study, such a study will reveal certain qualities and attributes which enable the winners to win, and certain deficiencies which cause the losers to lose. And the student will see that the same pattern recurs consistently again and again throughout the centuries. So, assumptions are given to us. A study of the famous battles in history would help us understand the modern warfare. See, the modern warfare, there is no such description of modern warfare. Conflicts over resources like water are often cloaked in the disguise of identity or ideology. Okay. Now, passage here is very important for you guys to understand, and you should also participate in answering this question. Try to get the gist what has been inferred in the passage. This is quite important for you guys to answer. What climate change will undeniably do is cause of amplify events that hasten the reduction of resources. Competition over these diminishing sources would ensue in the form of political or violent conflict. Resource-based conflicts have rarely been overt and are thus difficult to isolate. Instead, they take on veneers that appear more politically palatable. Conflicts over resources like water are often cloaked in the disguise of identity or ideology. This is the small passage we are given here, and we are asked the four options. What does the above passage imply? Resource based conflicts are always politically motivated, or B option, there are no political solutions to resolve environmental and resource based conflicts. C option is environmental issues contribute to resource stresses and political conflicts. Political conflicts based on identity or ideology cannot be resolved. D is the right means the fourth option given to us. So what I suggest you guys is the C. C is the right answer here. Environmental issues contribute to resource stresses and political conflicts. Now you guys have to send your answer choice also. Means which is your answer choice and why it is your answer choice. Means the passage is mainly aimed that political politically palatable the word has been given to us and winners, so you have to really check such words. You have to be practically asking it all the time. How should we can means we learn these words immediately, or how can we have command over such words? Otherwise, it is hard for us always. It will become a challenge for us in that case to understand the meaning always. So the passage number second we have to discuss quickly now. Try to answer your question, your choice here. The man who is perpetually hesitating which of the two things he will do first will do neither. The man who resolves but suffers his resolutions to be changed by the first counter suggestion of a friend who fluctuates from opinion to opinion and veers from plan to plan can never accomplish anything. He will at best be stationary and probably retrograde in all. It is only the man who first consults wisely, then resolves firmly, and then executes his purpose with inflexible perseverance, undismayed by those petty difficulties which daunt a weaker spirit that can advance to eminence in any line. Now, in this section, what has been suggested, the keynote that seems to be emerging from this passage is that we have to answer this question from the given answer choices here. Try to answer the question here. Let me make it more clear for you guys. Uh, Passage number second, as we are doing here. It's some additional clarity. Let me slide a bit for a better view. Now you guys have to answer this question from these given choices. It's quite important to argue, to discuss the questions. This is the main aim of the class here. There should be positive discussion always. So for your knowledge, for your revision, I'm doing these passages again, and see in this passage what we are asked, means what we are getting the main idea is the keynote is this, that we should consult wisely first of all, and then we should resolve firmly. This is the keynote coming from this passage. By reading the passage, what we are getting the keynote, what we are getting the gist is this. First of all, we should uh, consult wisely, and then we should be firm on that resolution, on the decision we have made. We should always think broad-mindedly also. So in this way, what should be the right option here? We should first consult wisely and then resolve further. So the option A is the main one, is the key one which we are getting from this passage. So it is quite easy one, and we are able to answer easily that A is the right answer choice here. I feel that you guys will definitely go for the A option only, because the second option, the B one, we should reject suggestions of friends and remain unchanged. We should always remain broad-minded. We should be resolute and achievement-oriented. These ones are not the means we can say that C or D also is giving means they are also giving some, in some sense, of the mm, means right answer, or we can say moreover they have been also discussed somewhere in the passage. But the main thing which the passage is suggesting us, for someone to become means consult wisely and then resolve firmly. So A is the correct answer here. Now come to this passage. During the summer in the Arctic Ocean, sea ice has been melting earlier and faster, and the winter freeze has been coming later. In the last 3 decades, the extent of summer ice has declined by about 30%. The lengthening period of summer melt threatens to undermine the whole Arctic food web, atop which stand polar bears. Now, start answering the question: which among the following is the most crucial passage conveyed by the above passage? Now, this is very important. This passage is somewhere means these kind of passages are really important to be discussed, because in this passage suddenly there has been a shift, means the whole passage is given to us with a shift somewhere, where we can say the passage is turning, and they are trying to give us an idea, give us a clear thought which has not been discussed as a whole somewhere in the passage, but it is somewhere a turning point. So try to find that turning point here. So the keynote, yeah, in this third passage we have to discuss here what which among the following is the most crucial message conveyed by the above passage. Crucial message they are asking in the question. Let me read the options also, so that it will be easier for you guys to understand. Maybe climate change has caused Arctic summer to be short but temperature to be high. Number B option is polar bears can be shifted to the South Pole to ensure their survival. And number C option is without the presence of polar bears, the food chains in Arctic region will disappear. Or number D is climate change poses a threat to the survival of polar bears. So I feel that D is the right option here. D is the right option. As we say, the lengthening period of summer melt threatens to undermine the whole Arctic food web, atop which stand polar bears. Means in the last line we are getting the gist of the passage, and here it is suggesting us that which it has been crucially means given to us. The message has been really crucial, and it is suggesting us that atop which stand polar bears, means the whole discussion is somewhere targeting us to for the which has been targeted to the survival of the polar bears. So this is the hidden point, and this is really important here. Now comes the next one. See, start reading this passage. It's a nice one as well. Take your time to read the passage. Why do people prefer open defecation and not want toilets, or if they have them, only use them sometimes? Recent research has shown that two critical elements, ideas of purity and pollution, and not wanting pits or septic tanks to fill because they have to be emptied. You'll have to go according to the passage while having a quick reading of the passage. You don't have to be that quick that you are not able to get through the means getting the lines and the inferred message you are not getting, and still you are trying to read it quickly. That should not be the way, that should not be the style of reading the passage. It should be somewhere where it should be grammatically correct. It means you should be also having the ideas of punctuation here, and otherwise it will be hard for you to find the gist. It is the you should know the use of colons, the semicolons, the commas, the inverted commas. You should have the proper knowledge of these ones, why and for what we are using these signs, these punctuations. Secondly, you should have a very good knowledge of the adverbs. Somewhere we use the moreover, however, means in which sense and for what, why, where we should use these words properly. You should have that knowledge also. It is otherwise it is very difficult for us to find the gist. So these are the issues that nobody wants to talk about. But if we want to eradicate the practice of open defecation, they have to be confronted and dealt properly. Now, which among the following is the most crucial message conveyed by the above passage? You have to answer this question quickly. So, take your time to answer the question. Try to find the gist. The ideas of purity and pollutions are so deep rooted that they cannot be removed from the minds of the people. Has it been given in the passage somewhere? Ideas of purity and pollution are and not wanting pits or septic tanks to fill because they have to be emptied. These are the issues that nobody wants to talk about. People have to perceive toilet use and pit emptying as clean and not polluted. polluting. See, this one is, I feel that this one is a better answer, means a very good answer for the question we are asked here. Why do people prefer open defecation and not want toilets, or if they have them, only use them sometimes? Recent research has shown two critical elements: ideas of purity and pollution. Not wanting pits or septic tanks to fill because they have to be emptied. These are the issues that nobody wants to talk about. But if we want to eradicate the practice of open defecation, they have to be confronted and dealt properly. Means, see, the author has been answering, means has been trying to take our concentration towards the perception and not towards the purity or the pollution or something like that. Means he or she is not raising any problem before us, but moreover he or she is trying to provide us a solution in this case. And we have to be means proactive in such a manner. He or she is trying to make us more proactive, means a solution provider, or he or she is providing solution in this case, not the question he or she is raising before us. So the A option, in this A option we are given the same words which has been used nearly in the passage, but even though this one is not the right answer, the right answer choice is B here. People have to perceive toilet use and pit emptying as clean and not polluting. People cannot change their old habits. This cannot be the right answer. C is not anywhere matching in the with the passage. People have neither civic sense or sense of privacy. This also has not been discussed somewhere in the passage. Now come to the next one. Proceed to the last one here. In the last 2 decades, the words gross domestic product (GDP) has increased 50%, whereas inclusive wealth has increased by a mere 6%. In recent decades, GDP driven economic performance has only harmed inclusive wealth like human capital and natural capital like forests, land and water. While the world's human capital, which stands at 50% of total inclusive wealth, grew by only 8%. The natural, which is 23% of total inclusive wealth, declined by 30% worldwide in the last 2 decades. So which of the following is the most crucial inference from the above passage? Try to find this one. More emphasis should be laid on the development of natural capital. Is there anywhere, means they are trying to focus on this issue? I feel that there is no such, nowhere they are trying to focus on this issue. More emphasis should be laid on the development of natural capital. Means there is nowhere in the passage where they are trying to concentrate on. And the growth driven by GDP only is neither desirable nor sustainable. Try to check this option as well. The growth driven by GDP only is neither desirable or not sustainable. Yeah. See, in recent decades, GDP driven economic performance has only harmed inclusive wealth like human capital and natural capital like forests, land and water. While the world's human capital, which stands at 57% of total inclusive wealth, grew by only 8%. The natural, which is 23% of total inclusive wealth, declined by 30% worldwide in the last 2 decades. So, in the last 2 decades, the world's GDP has increased 50%, whereas inclusive wealth has increased by a mere 6%. So, the passage directly is giving us an idea that growth driven by GDP only is neither desirable nor sustainable. Means we cannot only focus on that part,